and I'm recording this. Okay, so basically today's concept is AWS Lambda. Like I said, there are multiple resources available in AWS. I am choosing the resources wisely according to the demand and the need. So basically today's concept is AWS Lambda. Um, Let me tell you, introduce what is AWS Lambda first. Basically, the AWS Lambda is a serverless computing services. Yesterday we talked on Glue. That also I said like serverless. But what's serverless mean? Basically, nothing runs without server. There need to be some system to run anything. If you're running your Gmail or whatever, that's an application that's running in a server, right? So you need server. So what does I mean whenever I say serverless is you don't need server basically for this. AWS manages that server. So it's not like serverless. You don't have to manage servers for this AWS Lambda service. Okay. So basically, you can say AWS Lambda is a computing service, serverless computing service. Um, I will show. I will. You can. You have to just upload your code and run here, and I will say more about this. Basically, this is useful for multiple domain guys. For example, data engineers, DevOps guys, SAP, and .NET, depending on the use case. You can say, hey, for data engineers, what's the use of this? AWS Lambda is widely used in data engineering for automating and processing data pipelines. Okay. So what I can say, you can say it's like it is useful for ETL processes and real-time data processing and trigger-based workflows. You can data engineers can use it for their purpose like this. Okay. And coming to the DevOps guys also, if they have any CI/CD pipelines, they can trigger it whenever there is a need for it. For example, I can say, let me show you the portal. Then I can tell you the example in the real time. If not, you will understand easily. So Safari, let me go to this console. Let me search for Lambda. You guys can search for Lambda there also. But I'm coming here. See, in Lambda, there is important concept called function. Basically, what is function? We all know when there is a code, what is function? You have a code, you have your code ready. Whenever you want to run that code, you will write that functions. You have a code, you have a function. What is a function? It's a block of code. When you call that code, that block, that function, then that code runs. So that means you are running a functions inside the Lambda. So what I'm trying to say is in Lambda, there is something called functions. You will write the code inside the functions, the block, and then once you run the function, the code will run automatically. Why we are using Lambda? We have multiple items. What's the Lambda's use cases? Like I said, there are multiple use cases. For data engineers, ETL tools, like you can automate data extraction, transformation, and loading workflows, and real-time processing, like when you're getting a streaming data from sources like AWS S3 or whatever you can utilize there. Okay. And DevOps guys, you can use it for infrastructure automation tasks, CI/CD pipelines. In SAP, SAP, what it is like I can't say you will use much about SAP, but you can also integrate AWS Lambda with SAP systems through many cases like integration with SAP workflows and data integration and data-driven events basically. And coming to the .NET also, it supports the applications written in .NET Core, making it good fit for .NET developers. You can build and deploy .NET Core applications. You can use Lambda with Amazon API Gateway to host backend services for the .NET applications there. For example, you can say hosting services, web APIs in .NET Core. So You can say AWS Lambda is useful across multiple domains there. So let me uh, show you the sample. I told you everything theoretical, right? So let's implement it practically. For example, you have to just go and create a function. It gives you options. How you? Hey guys, I'm sharing my screen, right? Okay. So, and I'm recording also. Okay. So you can create a function in Lambda. Okay. Choose one of the following to create a function. You want to write your code from scratch or use a blueprint, basically build a Lambda application from the sample code and configuration presets for the common build cases. If you have that already predefined blueprint, you can upload it here. So let me give my function name. What I can give demo lambda 1, and I can choose my code like in which I'm writing. So I am choosing Python and I'm selecting this and then create a function. This takes some time. That's it. We're inside our function. Always see the hierarchy. I'm inside lambda, I'm inside functions, and then I'm inside demo lambda. So when I come here, this is my function. There is something called add trigger, add destination. I will discuss about this later. So here you can see I have took a default one, right? Python. So automatically it is giving us some default code here to do implement status code and giving a body as hello from the lambda. You can test it. It is saying to test it, you have to create test event. So here is the important concept. So basically, instead of telling you theoretically, I tried to practically show you so that you guys will easily understand. Lambda is basically event based. Lambda is basically event based. What is an event? I can say, see, we have learned about S3 and multiple things so that you guys can easily understand now. Event is nothing but some work happened, something happened. That's an event. For example, you have write a code, print hello here, and you have to create events here. What is the event? What can be the event? For example, we have S3 bucket. Let me show you. Array. We have many buckets here. We can say, for example, some code has, for example, S3 bucket, we have in one bucket, we have added one CSV file previously. If you are adding some other file, new photo, new image, new CSV file, whatever, something is getting added, that's an event. Something happened, right? What is an event? Something is happening. In S3, something is happening, or in instance is getting created. In EC2 is something happening. There is something called DynamoDB, dynamic database. If some data got added into there, you can say whatever this. These are called as events. See, um, event-driven case. So if something happens in S3 or in CloudWatch, some logs got added or data have been changed in Dynamo database, in the API gateway, some HTTP requests are happening. Any change is called event. So what can we do? We can set like this. Maybe you will be having some rule, right? Hey, when you see the sunset, switch on the light. Sunset is an event and you are switching on the light. Switching on the light is a function. You have to do this when sunset event is happened. So you are linking this function with event. So whenever that event happened, you are running this function. So Lambda is server based, and basically this is for the short events, not for the complete biggest ones. So one event or one function basically runs only for 15 minutes. You can't run big application or whole code here. You can't keep everything in a function, and you can't say, hey, something happened, run my old everything, every code. So basically that doesn't work because maybe your code, whole code takes more than 15 minutes, but Lambda only lasts for 15 minutes. So when you have small scenarios, I will tell you the use cases later. So basically, Lambda is used for short codes and short scenarios where we just need it for temporary purposes. So there is a function here. Automatically, we got some function. Let me test it. So it is saying, hey, create an event. When I should create, when I should test it, when I should deploy it. So create event. Come here. Event name demo 2 because I already experimented something, so it would be demo already. So I'm giving it name. I'm naming it as demo 2 and keeping it as private. And yeah, you can save it. Event served successfully. If you can see, in the events, we already got an event here. Okay. Now test it. We have created event. Let me test it. See, status success, response, status code 200, and body is hello from Lambda. Body, JSON dumping, hello from Lambda here. Let me do some small modification in this code. Maybe I'm giving hello team. Okay. Whenever you have made some code changes, you have to deploy it. It is saying you have undeployed changes. Previous changes automatically it knows it. This change, this is not aware of. That is, then it is saying, hey, deploy this so that I can read this. I can keep it in my memory. So then deploy it. Deployment successful. And then I'm trying to test it. See, my status is success. Status is success. Response code is this function log, and this is my log request ID and the main print which I said hello team that you can print here. So basically, this is the sample code. You can run complex code also here. You can dump it if you have some code available. You can if you have your code in S3 location or zip file in your local machine, you can keep file into the zip file and you can just upload that code here and you can run that function. But what is the real use of this lambda? For example, you are in website, you are going and signing up. Hey, you are the first time signing up. You are giving your email ID, password, one, two, confirming password. You are giving basic details, email ID. So when you are signing up, what is happening? You are automatically getting an email, right? Hello, thanks for subscribing. Thanks for registration. Why it's happening? Why it's getting? I have given here print hello team. I haven't linked any event here, but I can create event here. Like whenever there is some S3 file like I shown you for email, I can't do that for email, right? As it's an application, I can show it in another example. In S3 bucket, some file got added. That's an event. You can link that event to this function. Like whenever there is something getting added to S3 bucket, you can run this function. So basically functions usually won't run automatically. You can click trigger points. You have to trigger it. Like I said, when you get triggered, when you're in a bad mood, you're in not good mood, if somebody tells you something, you get triggered automatically, angry triggering. So that's how that is how this is also working. You have event, you have function. When I should, you can give that in trigger. I will show you. For example, let me come to this lambda function. Demo lambda 1. See, it is showing you add trigger. There is a function. Hey Abdul, you have added a function. But when I should run this, when I should run this code, add trigger. You can add trigger so that this function runs. So, like I said, when somebody subscribe, they have to run this function so that the subscribers will get, hey, thanks for subscription. For you guys, how can I show you example? I can show you example using S3 bucket. Let me add the trigger here. We can create S3 because we are aware of S3, right? We are not new. So that's why I'm trying to show you this. Mm, Total bucket Abdul. So I'm saying, if in S3, in a bucket Abdul, something got happened, then you can create event. What is the type of event? If you know already, you can like if in S3 something is getting post, something getting copied, you can create event. I have created post here. All object create events. It's okay. Anything will be fine. I believe. Prefix, suffix. I don't think that's needed. I acknowledge that S3. Can I use it? Okay. I'm doing some mistake intentionally. So you guys can let me know what I'm missing. I said you previously. When I'm using AWS any services, I have to give it permissions. Lambda can it directly read from S3? Lambda can it directly read from my S3 bucket? No, right? I have to create a role. I have to give that role to this function. So I this function then only can access S3. If this is Lambda function is reading my S3 without my permission or access, that's wrong, right? So I always have to give a IAM role to this function permissions. See, basically you should give the permissions there. Role name. Let me see what's the permissions we have. Policy name. This is the policy already we got. We can attach new policies also. Like you can add what I can say S3. Sorry, I believe I can't add permissions, attach policies. Which one I can give S3? For S3 also we need access now, right? I'm giving AWS S3 full access, add permissions. There are two policies now. So demo Lambda one role got two permissions. It can access AWS Lambda basic execution role, basic that's an basic one, which AWS defaultly gives. I need access for S3 also. And now if you come and see back, now refresh it. Now I have access to CloudWatch, AWS S3, CloudWatch. Why I need? I need CloudWatch access so that I can watch the logs there, what's happening when I'm running the code. And AWS S3 and S3 object Lambda. Okay, this is what it is happening. And S3, I just wanted to see tutorial bucket Abdul. Okay, let's add something in tutorial bucket Abdul. Tutorial bucket Abdul. Let me upload something. Well, add files. I can add file here. Defaultly, I can give this file, upload, uploaded, upload successful. Okay, upload is successful. Let me close this. Let me come back to here. I have added a trigger. I have linked this one. Let me go and monitor this. What's the time now? See, you can change the time here for 3 minutes or 1 day, or you can custom it to like 5 minutes ago. It is saying nothing happened before 5 minutes because basically this takes some times. So whenever something happens, see, basically the function should be called whenever something added into S3 bucket. But basically monitors say takes some time, but not too much time. This is common basically. You can watch it in CloudWatch logs also. See, CloudWatch logs. Last event happened here. See, it was not showing here. Where? Here when I'm trying to run. Basically, this takes some time. Don't worry. Don't assume something is haven't happened like you thought. Just go to view CloudWatch logs. This CloudWatch logs will directly show you this lambda one function related items only. Don't worry, maybe this logs is showing me multiple items, but you are inside this function and you are clicking on CloudWatch logs. So that shows you only about demo lambda one. So in demo lambda one, if I go into the logs, what happened? Demo lambda one, I have three logs came recently. I'm just going with the recent one, 23/7/14. What happened? Something ran, runtime, lambda, at this location used to, and some requested has been started. It displaying hello team, request ended. Why I got hello team? Because something got added into the S3 bucket. You understood, right? So let me add another one and let me show you. I'm adding another file now. Add files. AWS 2. I'm uploading it, closing. So second file got added. So if I refresh it, no moments at this. See, I have two times hello team. Previously, I had only one time hello team. So whenever something is happening, see, I didn't run this. Previously, for just testing purpose, I went here in demo lambda. Don't forget this. I went here. See, I'm in monitor, right? Let me in the code. Previously, I am here. I have tested, then it deployed. I haven't run it, right? I have run it manually. I haven't clicked any button like run, deploy. Why automatically logs is saying, hey, at this time you have ran hello team. I haven't ran it. It automatically running hello team whenever some data got added to the S3 bucket. So what I can say from here? So AWS Lambda is useful for data engineers, DevOps. Why I said? For example, let's assume you have some pipeline. You have some code to deploy. It automates it. You don't have to worry about it. Go and manually run it. You just have your code, just give that event, explain them what's the event, and just give the trigger when it should trigger. Some code added into GitHub repository, it should trigger. So whenever some code is added into repository, you should automatically take code from there and deploy it. That is how you are saying you don't have to come manually and check into the bucket and okay, something added. I have to go and build and deploy it. You don't have to do. This is how it's deploying your items. Okay. So this is the advantage and beauty of the Lambda. That's event based resource. So basically you can use this like here. So if you come to S3 permissions, if you see this tutorial bucket Abdul, if you go and check the properties, this is event-based notification. I'm checking in S3, not Lambda. In permissions, it is saying this bucket is actually linked with some event, right? It is saying event notification enabled. When you are enabling notifications, that will show you notifications to your mobile phone, right? So it is saying, hey, you have event-based notification. You have enabled your notification here. A Lambda function is there. This will call this as event and trigger a function whenever something got added into this bucket. If you come and see here the same thing in the another bucket, you may not be able to see here in the properties. See, there are no notification events. So this is how it works. That's the beauty of Lambda. And like I said, you can upload your own code from a zip file or S3 locations. Maybe you're having a biggest file or code. You can simply take it from there, convert into the zip. So automatically code comes here. You can test it, deploy it, and you can add it trigger points here. I just added S3. You have multiple triggers, you see. If you try to add trigger, you can add multiple triggers when Alexa is called, when API gateways are called. This is why I said for .NET guys, it would be useful. Hmm? When some HTTP requests are you got and AWS IoT, when new log got added, you can still trigger that event. When something happened to S3, you can still add that event. Okay. And when the database in some database, dynamic database name itself indicates continuously changing database, dynamic, something data has been added or modified, you can still run the event triggers there. Okay, so this is all the event triggers. So let's come to the next topic, what I'm missing here. So like you said, When I'm creating AWS Lambda, I'm taking care of buckets. I'm taking care of IAM. Like I said, for every resources, IAM is important one. IAM is very important one. Identity, access, and management. So you guys may give all these things. You guys may configure S3 bucket. I mean, you may upload items. You guys can say, hey, I'm adding trigger. Why it's not getting trigger? In AWS Glue, you may add a data source and create a script for deploying. But you can say, hey, why it's not running? It will not run, bro, because you haven't given it some role from where the data should take and you haven't given it permission. So roles and policies are always important. I can go briefly into IAM like I have went into S3 yesterday when it's needed. So for the AWS Lambda purposes, I can say this is the important concept. You guys can say whenever something happens, the functions, events, triggers, and the S3 and IAM roles are the important point. S3 is not important. S3 has shown you as some example. If I took some another resource as an example, you guys may get confused, but you guys are now pretty much aware with S3 bucket. So it's simple one to show you. And I'm again saying, when you experiment on yourself, this one, when you experiment these resources, just go and practice it and then delete it for sure. Don't forget to delete. You may get some bill. You don't know which resource is getting paid more. Okay. And there are some items here in AWS Lambda. Everything is not free, right? Like EC2 instances, storages, you have different prices at see, we got something here. Previously we can't see it. Now we can see it. This time something got triggered. Okay. So Lambda is also paid one. If you can see here, I can show you this example. Let me show what I'm missing. I have discussed about print, driven case, functions, creating buckets. We already created bucket. That's why I haven't told you again this. I have added trigger. You can add it S3. You can see properties about monitoring and CloudWatch. I have said it. Role I said it. And yeah, see, there are some limitations which I said you. Limit is only up to 15 minutes. Like, it can run only after 15 minutes. After that, you can't run it. So you can use it for short purposes. Like for example, there are some use cases. Data transformation. For example, you got your data into some bucket or database. You want to transform that data. Maybe you have some logic from inside a function. You have some code where you are writing in any table. If any of the row is empty, remove that row. That's the transformation you needed. So what it does whenever there is a code change that transforms the data before pushing into the destination, it do some transformation changes here that doesn't take much time, right? Below 5 minutes or 10 minutes if the table is too big and data is too complex. Then transforms the data and again pull it to or throw it inside the destination. That's a short time period. In that cases, you can use this case. Real-time notifications, like whenever somebody subscribed it to your email or to the website, you can give them notifications. Hi, so thanks for the subscription. So this is not long-term image processing. When somebody uploaded image, you wrote a code to compress it or zip it, whatever. So that's a small function, and you can push it somewhere. So you can write use cases like this, some temporary purposes and some not whole code or whole application or whole website. You can't deploy it from here. That's the limitations it has. So coming to the auto scaling. What is auto scaling? Like I said, when you have exams for servers, when I'm talking about EC2 instances and virtual machines, whatever it is, I said those also having auto scaling feature. What I said, if you signed, for example, you got exam results. Basically, you don't go to your college portal daily, but you got exam results. What happened? Thousands of people will try to access the server at the same time. Auto scaling. The name itself says horizontally. There is one server. It automatically creates servers. So if one computer is busy or one system is busy, I'm trying to make you understand, but it's not a real computer. That's a server. So something is busy. That machine is completely busy. What it will do? Temporarily creates another machine so that other requests, bulk requests can go to the other machines so that the load can be managed there. So auto scaling is a feature. So Lambda is saying I can do auto scaling. So whenever multiple users are trying to register me, I can manage it by auto scaling. I can send them I can trigger the functions even if I got the thousands or hundreds of triggers to me. And that's a pay as you go. Basically, you will pay to this depending on the number of the triggers or functions it is getting called. How many times you call your function, that many times you're gonna pay. Maybe that's less or high. You can check it in the browser. You can take the Lambda services. So basically, these are all the AWS resources. So we are in student version or free trial. That's why in AWS it doesn't cost us for every resources. But make sure before practicing any resources, some resources are not paid. Some resources are free, like some are paid, some are like up to some time. For up to 1 hour only, that resource may be free. After 1 hour, you may get charged. So always try to close your storage account, I mean buckets, delete your buckets, delete your data, delete your Lambda functions, and delete your EC2 instances after you experimented. Just try to delete it so that it won't charge you. If not, it will generate you the bill. You can check your bills. Yeah. Let me come. Yeah. Previously, like I can show you dashboards. Previously, it was not showing, but it was showing now. Lambda, my functions, and demo Lambda one, monitor. You can add multiple triggers. You don't have to add only one trigger. It doesn't mean like you can only add for one trigger. Let me do this for back 5 minutes. Array, 5 minutes, 15 minutes. See, 15 minutes back, something happened. This is watch metrics. Invocations happened, duration at this time, something got changed. We got no errors, zero errors here. We got no throttles. These are all the items. Even when you're working, you can say, hey, I have experience on Cloud Watch Logs also, because you can know, right? Now you can know where to watch Cloud Watch Logs in the metrics. It's not mandatory like you should know to check all logs regarding all resources, but you have basic knowledge of checking Cloud Watch resources. Like you can check the logs here. When you try to understand these logs, you will understand what's happening before. Coming to the Lambda function name, actions, delete. When you want to delete, it will ask you this pop-up, confirm here. If you don't confirm, it won't get deleted. Delete it. Okay. If I come to S3 buckets, if I go here, there are some buckets. Let me delete the whole bucket. Delete the bucket. Before deleting, empty that bucket. Then only you're gonna delete. Because you're just not deleting a single bucket, right? You're deleting the whole bucket in which data is there. So when the data is there, you can't delete it. Karma, maybe, yeah, I give spelling mistake here. Yeah, now that bucket got deleted. This is how you're gonna create your delete your buckets. Just don't delete data if you want to delete the entire items there. So S3, S3, refresh. Yeah, maybe it's still showing, but it will get deleted later. Okay, so this is what I want to discuss about AWS Lambda. So somebody asked me to discuss more on SNS services, simple notification service. That is nothing but when something happened, or you can add trigger like there also in SNS. Like you can add SMS services, notification services. I can discuss this on Monday. And if I want to talk more on Amazon Redshift, it's a small topic, and then on IAM, more about IAM. So if I'm missing anything, or if you got any demands, please let me know in WhatsApp so that I wanna discuss it on Monday and I wanna close topic on AWS. So that's why I'm saying you, if you felt like, hey, I want to learn or know more about this resource in AWS, just keep me a request so that if time permits, I will tell it on Monday, or if not, I will extend the AWS topic on Tuesday also, and I will discuss more about the resources you want. So if you don't say anything, I won't understand, right? So I have covered the most of the topics. When you're trying to apply jobs, it will mostly ask about AWS Glue for data engineers and AWS Redshift, AWS Lambda. So I'm trying to cover up the uh, points or resources that most of the jobs are asking for. So if you still have any request, you can ask to me. And I have sent you the recordings. And if something I'm adding as a recording, for example, I have told you some concept today, right? I will add this concept in the recording in the playlist which I kept you yesterday link. If you go to that link, new video will get in that list. You don't expect a new link from me, so that in that playlist only this new recording will also get added. And yeah, thank you so much.